Are you a business owner who finds that you're not getting the growth you expected? Or maybe profitability is down this year and you just don't know why. You're thinking about laying off some people, letting go some people. Well, trying to reduce overhead and cost. Before you look at all those drastic measures, take a look at your churn rate of your customers. What does your client retention program look like? Hello, everybody. My name is Bill Arnold. I'm president of Prevail Marketing. You can find us at prevailmarketing.com. Every day we try to bring you some ideas, thoughts, strategies, concepts to grow your business through better sales and marketing. And today, in fact, for the next 5 days, we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked areas that business just really don't get right. That is client retention. Client retention is a huge problem in the United States and the world. Businesses are losing clients they don't need to lose, costing them lots of money. And today we're going to start the discussion on how to remedy that. Today we're going to talk about the macro version of the problem. We're going to talk about what it costs, why you should be concerned, why it's an issue. Tomorrow we're going to talk about which parts of your company are responsible for client retention. I'll give you a little hint, all of them. And for the next few days after that, we're going to talk about every single department from marketing, sales, operations, customer support, C-suite, sales, I didn't mention it, every department, what actionable items they should be doing every single day to ensure client retention. This is something that concerns you. Stay tuned and let's get started. So let's talk about how big of a problem this is. So honestly, it's huge. There's over 1.6 trillion, that's with a T, trillion dollars that are lost every year to businesses through client customer churn. That's a huge money. I can't get my grasp what a trillion is even, right? But let's break it down to some numbers that maybe make more sense, hit home better. It costs, according to Forrester, these are not my numbers, we can verify everything. According to Forrester, it costs 5 times more to acquire a new customer than it does to keep an existing one. So you put all that time, effort, talent, and revenue and expense into trying to acquire new clients, and how much do you really spend? How much effort do you really put? How much care do you really take to keep those current clients happy, engaged, involved, happy? Probably not enough. It costs 16 times more to bring a new customer up to the same level as existing customers. But the real number that hits home for me, the one that I look at and say, wow, I get it, I understand. According to Harvard Business School, and I've seen this study repeated many times, a simple 5% increase in customer retention rates will increase your profitability by 25 to 95. Think about that. A mere 5% increase in client retention can mean up to 95% increased profitability. If that doesn't motivate you to take a look at this seriously, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Go do something else. This is not the discussion for you, okay? So let's break this down a little bit more because I think there's a lot more to talk about. You know, I've been asked this many times by many clients what I think a respectable churn rate. Is there a respectable churn rate? Does there have to be a churn rate? Well, the answer is yes, there does have to be one, and there are respectable numbers. Probably not what you're getting. Why does there have to be a churn rate? Because there's always going to be clients who, if you're talking B2B, who merge with other clients, who get bought out, get sold, close their business. Or maybe there's a new manager, director, vice president who comes into the business who wants to use their own vendors. So there are always going to be times where it's going to churn. If it's B2C, there's always going to be reasons for B2BC. Those are easier to understand, I think, for most people. But what is acceptable? What is normal? What is reasonable? Well, what is normal is not reasonable. I'll tell you that. I'll give you a little hint. So if you look at all of business, there is and I'm talking B2B, B2C, there is an average from B2B, let's talk about it now, of 75% client retention rate. That means there's 25% churn. Is 25% churn acceptable? By no means. If you're getting 25% churn, you're on your way out of business. I'm sorry. You know, some industries do better. Professional services have 80% retention. insurance 83%, IT services 81%. So some do better, okay? Some do better, but when you get down to things like manufacturing, 67% retention rate. Wow. B2B SaaS software, 77% retention rate. That's 23% churn. Healthcare, same thing, 77% retention rate, 23% churn. If you're getting 23% churn, again, you're on your way out of business. This is unacceptable. Clients tell me what they should accept, what they shouldn't accept. I would say, I tell this whether it's B2B, B2C, on the worst case scenario, through the worst economies, through the worst situations, no more than a 10% churn rate should you ever see. Realistically, if you do what we're going to talk about over the next few days, that churn rate should be down to 5 to 7%. Remember, those increases mean tremendous increase in profitability. So when you get down just a few percentage, you're changing the stars of your company. You're changing the profitability. You're changing the growth. You're changing everything. So let's figure out how to spend more of our time, energy, and talent, inspiration to retain the clients we won, the hard-earned work we've already accomplished. So let's just go on and talk about why this is so absolutely possible. Why do customers churn? Is there a reason? Well, everyone has their own unique story, obviously. We understand that. But there is always averages and numbers you can look at and say, okay, what happens? And the reality is, over 70% of the churn is avoidable simply by engaging your customers better. 70%. So if you have a 23% churn, 70% of that is easily avoidable. Wow. Isn't it worth your time? Why do they churn? And according to a 2020 report by Cal Miner, they reported that 70% of the churn is because poor customer service. They're being driven away, in fact. They felt they were being driven away. Unfair treatment. They felt customer support was treating them unfairly. Poor customer experience. They thought that what they were getting, they were put on hold, ignored, had to deal with bots. Oh, don't get me started with bots. We'll talk about that in a second. Well, we'll talk about it now. Lack of human service. Bots are fine for quick responses to simple problems. Fine. They get it. But even AI-directed bots are not the answer. They're not sophisticated enough to really handle the problem. How many times have you been on the phone? There are things, for example, like airlines. If I'm on a phone call with an airline, I'm speaking to their version of a audio bot, and I find myself yelling at it because it will not understand what I'm saying, and I can't go to a representative. Online chatbots. Oh, I don't know how much time I've wasted trying to get the chatbot to give me something unworkable, and they keep saying, "Did we answer your question?" No, you didn't. I get a representative. No representative to be found. Eventually, I give up and find someone who's willing to talk to me. That human-to-human connection is absolutely essential. It will never be replaced by a bot. Bots are not intuitive enough. Bots are not smart enough. Bots cannot respond. If I have a simple question about answers, great. But once I go through that simple 30 seconds and I'm not getting a response, I want to talk to a person. Again, if it means losing 70%, if it means retaining 70% of the people that are churning, isn't it worth it to staff it, to have someone who talks to them? But most of the problems are almost too far gone by the time you get to customer support. There's lots of things that can be done upstream to avoid a problem even happening, to avoid the anguish, the pains, the concerns, the issues. Yes, you're always going to lose people because of pricing or other factors, but 70% of your loss is customer service. 70%. Other things that are controlled by product quality are another 30%, product features 13%, UX UI 8%. So always things that will cause you to lose some clients. But at the end of the day, you need to minimize that. And tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about who's responsible. I talked about who's upstream responsible. Who can handle this? Who's responsible? Well, first I mentioned everyone's responsible. From marketing, they have a major role to play across the board. Sales, has a major role to play. Operations has a major role to play. Product development has a major role to play. Customer support, of course, everyone understands they have a role to play. But the single biggest responsibility, not just for setting the tone, but for actual actionable items that can be done to avoid churn, is the C-suite. Yes, the ivory tower, the people at the top. They have a role to play as well. So again, tomorrow we're going to talk about each department and the role they should play. And then the couple days after that, 3 days after that, in fact, we're going to talk about each different departments and give you actionable items, things that we do for our clients that work. I've taken clients down from a 30% churn rate down to a 4% churn rate by implementing what we're going to talk about over the next few days. You know what that did to their profitability? You know what did that to their growth? You know what that did to their revenue? You know how investors started to look at them differently because all of a sudden they had greater profitability? They weren't losing clients. That's where you want to be. And if you stick with us over the next few days, you're going to get there. We'll talk to you about it. We'll share all the secrets. If you found this video to be helpful, please like, subscribe, please follow, please do whatever is appropriate on the channel you're watching because we spread this across the internet. If you have a particular problem, you can either go look at the blogs we've already started posting about this topic, or better yet, contact us. I love having conversations. I love talking to people. I love training people. I love explaining to people how to find solutions to their problems. Whether you hire me or not, that's I don't want to say it's immaterial, but that's not what this is about. We'd be glad to have discussions to give you ideas, things you can implement yourself in order to stop the flow of loss that you're experiencing through churn. So, until tomorrow, I want to thank you for your time as always. Please have a great night and see you tomorrow.